Hi, my name is Ashlyn Masco. I'm the Library Director at Great Falls College MSU in Weaver Library, and today I'm going to be giving an MLA style workshop presentation. So during this presentation, we're going to go over why we use citation styles, some background on MLA style, the basic formatting, in-text citations, and works cited page, and then I'll tell you how you can contact me with any questions that you might have about MLA style. So why do we cite? First and foremost, we cite to avoid plagiarism. So that's the copying and stealing of someone else's work. And we can plagiarize unintentionally. So that's why it's really important to make sure that we're providing citations in anything that we write. We also cite to give credit to the original author of the work. So this person has put a lot of time and effort into creating the source that you are citing. So we want to make sure to acknowledge that. We also cite to establish our credibility as writers. So this proves that we've done our research on whatever topic that we're writing about, because we know that we're not the expert. So we want to make sure that we prove that we've gone out and we've consulted reliable sources to help us write our paper and provide evidence for whatever claims that we're making. And lastly, we cite to help our readers find the original sources and learn more about our topics. So the works cited page can provide additional information for anybody reading your paper. They can skim that works cited page and find additional sources on the topic so that they can do their own research and look further into the topic if they need to. There are a number of different citation styles that you could use when writing research papers, and one of the more common ones is MLA style. So this citation style grew out of the MLA style sheet, which was created in 1951. It is now a common citation style published by the Modern Language Association, and it's had 9 revisions since it was first published. MLA is commonly used in language arts and literature, cultural studies, humanities, and more. So just because you're not studying in one of these fields doesn't mean that you can't use MLA. This is just the preferred and commonly used citation style for those particular fields of study. So the benefits of MLA style are the same benefits that any citation style has. It allows you to be uniform and consistent when you're writing your paper, so the formatting will all be the same, the way that you cite information will be the same. And this allows our readers to scan quickly for key information, and it just makes our paper easier to read. So that's the prime benefit of using a citation style like MLA. MLA style has some basic formatting requirements that we're going to want to follow for every single paper that we write following MLA style. So first, the font should be 12 point and Times New Roman. Our entire paper should be double spaced without an extra space before or after paragraphs, and this can be formatted by using the paragraph settings in your word processing software. The margins should be 1 inch on all sides. The paper should be aligned to the left margin, and indentation for the first line of each paragraph should be a 1/2 inch, and this is the default setting for the tab button on your keyboard. So we're also going to include a page number in the upper right-hand corner of the paper. This will be formatted by going to the heading settings. So go to Insert and then choose Page Number. And our last name is going to be in front of the page number. In MLA style, we don't create a separate title page the same way that we do in other citation styles. So instead, we include title page information at the very start of our paper, aligned to the left-hand side. So that will be your name, the instructor's name, the course name or title, and then the due date. And that's going to be formatted in day, month, year format. And then after you include that title page element, you'll enter on to a new line, and then you'll write the title of your paper in title case, which means that all words are capitalized except for words like to, the, and. Once we have the basic format of our paper set up, we can move on to writing our paper. So while we're writing, we're going to want to include in-text citations for any time that you reference information that you've learned during your research or from an outside source. So in-text citations are used to indicate that the idea you're presenting is not your own. So that gives credit to that original author who produced the article, the book, or other type of source that you are referencing. In-text citations are used with summary, which is also sometimes called paraphrase. So this is when you summarize or restate the text or passage that you've read in your source. Or we do in-text citations anytime that we direct quote. So that means when you write word for word the original text of a passage. There are two ways to format an in-text citation. The first is narrative citation. So a narrative citation includes the author's name somewhere in the text of the sentence. So this would be a sentence that's formatted like, according to Jones, ... And then at the end of the sentence, you would include the page number or the paragraph number that the information came from. And then the second formatting is the parenthetical citation. So that's when you include the citation at the end of your sentence in parentheses. So it's following the information that you've summarized or directly quoted. I have an example of a summary citation. This is formatted with a narrative citation, so this is when the author's name appears in the text of your sentence, and then the rest of the citation is at the very end of the sentence. So in MLA style, all of your citations are going to include the author's last name and the page number. If there's not a page number, you're going to include like a paragraph number or a section number by counting the numbers of paragraphs on the web page or whatever type of source that you're citing. So this example, Ingham, so that's our author. Ingham describes the common attributes of masculinity in 19th century literature, which presents men as logical, rational, capable, and dominant. We have the page number, 146, and then a period. So it's really important to note that for the parenthetical at the very end of the sentence, the punctuation is always going to come at the end. You're not going to put punctuation before the parentheses and then after the parentheses. That's incorrect. Your punctuation is always going to come at the very end of the sentence following the parenthetical citation. So in this case, that's just the page number since we've included the author name in the text of our sentence. Here's an example of a direct quote citation. So it reads, in the late 18th century, Gothic novels were, quote, the equivalent of such mid-20th century films as Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho or Vertigo. Their purpose was to create a horrifying thrill from stories set in blatantly sinister locations, end quote. Parentheses, Ingham, that's the author, 73, that's the page number, end parentheses, period. So again, what I was talking about on the last slide is your punctuation is always going to come after the citation. So in this case, this is a parenthetical citation which contains the author and page number. And it's important to note that there's no comma between the two elements. So in MLA style, you never include commas in the parenthetical citations. So I want us to get some practice formatting in-text citations. So on the page where you found the link to this video, there are also links to the handouts that I included in the in-person workshop. One of these is called MLA Workshop Worksheet, and you can use that to fill out and answer these questions that I have in the PowerPoint, or you could just write on a separate piece of paper, whatever you prefer. So the purpose of doing this is so that you get some practice. So I want you to try formatting an in-text citation using this excerpt from the book Bold Women in Montana History by Beth Judy. This excerpt comes from page 125. So I want you to use this excerpt, use it to write either a direct quote or a summary in-text citation. You can refer to the previous slide examples if you need to see. Don't worry about having a perfect sentence. I really just want you to focus on including the citation correctly, so whether you choose a narrative or a parenthetical citation format, and whether or not you summarize any of the information or directly quote it. So go ahead and pause the video and take a moment to practice that on your own, write it down on a piece of paper, and then when you're ready, go ahead and start the video again, and I will have some examples on the next slide. Welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to do that little exercise. So on this slide, I have some examples of the citations and quotes that I came up with. Yours don't have to match mine exactly, but pay attention to how you formatted the in-text citation because that's what we're really focusing on here. So my first example is a summary of the information, and I've chosen to format it with a narrative citation. So it reads, according to Judy, so that's our author, and it's always going to be the author's last name. So this author's name is Beth Judy. So in the text, I'm going to refer to her as Judy. So according to Judy, Isabel Johnson strived to capture realistic attributes in her paintings, such as the full spectrum of color at the bottom of a riverbed, or the fine details and dissymmetry of a person's face. Parentheses, 125, end parentheses, period. So that's the page number that this excerpt came from. So again, for the narrative citation, the author's name is going to be in the text of the sentence, and then the page number is going to be at the end of the sentence in parentheses. Our next example is a direct quote, and I chose to format this with a parenthetical citation. So, what may seem simple to a novice's eye, an artist may see much more, and quote, in a certain light, ... So that's an ellipses. That indicates that I've excluded some of the text from the original quote. So, quote, in a certain light, ... water may reveal shades of pink and yellow and dark green, end quote. These are the details Isabel Johnson tried to capture in her paintings. Parentheses, Judy, 125, period. So again, that's our author and page number. And the punctuation, so the period, always comes after that parenthetical citation. So now that we've covered a couple of examples of in-text citations, we're going to move on to the works cited page format. So the relationship between in-text citations and the works cited page are that for every in-text citation you should have a full citation on the works cited page. And you can cite one source as many times as you'd like, but it needs to appear in both the in-text and on the works cited page. So our works cited page starts on a new page. So let's say we had a 5-page essay. We're going to insert a page break, so it brings us to page 6, and that's where we'll start our works cited page. So the title, Works Cited, should be centered on the page. The page should be double spaced, should be 1-inch margins. The page number will continue from the rest of the paper. The special thing about the Works Cited page is that all the entries will be formatted with a hanging indent. So this can be done by going to the paragraph settings in your word processing software and then choosing special indent and then hanging. And then all of our entries are going to be listed alphabetically by the first word in the citation. The reason we want to have an understanding of each of the separate elements that goes into a citation is that so we can not only create our own works cited page citation from scratch, but we can look at one that has been created and identify the different pieces of information in the citation. So we can look at it and we can understand, oh, this particular citation is a journal article. So now what I want you to do is do another little practice activity where you take a look at this completed citation, and I want you to pull out all the different elements. So your author, your journal title, the date it was published, all of those elements, I want you to identify them and write them down on a separate piece of paper. So go ahead and pause the video. Take however long you need to do that little exercise. And then when you're ready to reveal the answers, go ahead and resume the video. Thanks for taking the time to do that exercise. So here are the answers. The author's name is Lars Gunnar Lund. That should have been the first thing listed in the citation. The date, it was published in 2010. That'll occur later in the citation in MLA style. The title of the source, or the article, I should say, the title of the article is an integrative model for the analysis and treatment of insomnia. The journal title is Scandinavian Journal of Behavior Therapy. Volume 29, number 3 to 4, pages 118 to 126. And then the DOI was listed at the very end. And once again, you know it's a DOI because of this prefix right here, https doi.org. So now we're going to do the opposite of what we did on the previous slide. We're going to use this information that I've given you, and you're going to write your own works cited page citation. So at the bottom of this slide, I gave the format for a journal article, and then also pay attention to this hint here. When you have multiple authors, you use the format last first, comma first last, and first last. And actually that is slightly incorrect because when you have 3 or more authors, it'll be last, comma first, comma et al., which is Latin for and others. That's just so you don't have to list a ton of authors. MLA prefers that you use et al. When you have 3 or more authors for one source. So go ahead, pause the video again, use this information here to write your own journal article works cited page citation. When you're done, go ahead and resume the video and the answer will be on the next slide. Thanks for taking a minute to write your own works cited page citation. So here's the answer, and I actually have a couple of mistakes in my citation, so I wanted to go through those with you. So like I said on the previous page, for 3 or more authors, like the rule of 3, you want to list the first author and then put et al. So I actually didn't do that here. So it should be home, comma, Natalie, comma, et al., period. And then we can start with the title of the article. that's going to be in quotation marks. And it's going to be written in title case. So all of the words should be capitalized except for words like of, the, that, those types of words. So here I have capitalization error, that everything should be capitalized. After the journal article title, you have the journal title. So that's Cognitive Behavior Therapy, Volume 41. As you can see, there's no issue number here. That's because there was not an issue number. So whenever you have an element that's missing, you just leave it out. You don't write no, you don't write no date, you don't leave a placeholder, you just don't put it in the citation. That's what MLA asks you to do, so we're going to do it that way. So volume number, date, published in 2012, page numbers 163 to 173, and in MLA, the abbreviation for page number is PP period. So we have our page numbers, then we have our DOI, a period after the DOI, and then this is really important too. In MLA, they want you to include an access date anytime that you use something online. So you would write at the very end accessed and then the date, which is going to be in day, month, year format, like we have here. So 13 November 2023. And you're always going to want to abbreviate your months, unless it's something like May. You can't really abbreviate May, but November, it would be NOV period. So that covers the basics of MLA style. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into it. There are a lot of examples out there of different types of source types and their citations. Again, the place where you found the link to this video, the handouts from the in-person workshop are linked. Please check out those resources for additional information. There's an MLA sample paper included. There's a cheat sheet for the works cited page entries and what elements each one requires. So please take a look at that. Again, I can't cover everything about MLA in a session like this, so if you have any questions, please reach out to me at the library. You can either call or email us. We do respond to emails Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we try to get to those as quickly as possible. If you're on campus, you're also free to stop into the library at any time, and we'll be able to help you out. The tutoring center is also now located in the library, so if I'm not available, there might be a writing tutor available. So please use the resources that were included with this video, and please stop in or contact us if you have any questions about MLA style.